to just have a chat today. What's up on YouTube? Welcome. I want to have a chat today, really talking to classical singers and voice teachers. I want to do a little bit of a talk about the future of collegiate voice instruction. I have an article here that is doing a SWAT analysis of collegiate voice instruction. And so, for those of you guys who don't know, SWOT just means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we use this in business to examine organizations and stuff. And so, one of my favorite people in couples, Matt Edwards, y'all know I talk about Matt Edwards because he is doing a phenomenal work and a phenomenal job. He's in academia, but this man is very futuristic. He's seeing what's coming ahead, and he's sounding the alarm, and he's providing resources and education and stuff for teachers and for singers so we can have what we need for the changes that are coming. And so he and his wife and another professor wrote an article, and I just want to kind of share some of those statistics today, and I want to talk to you about it. So it won't be any singing. So if you won't hear just to hear some singing and some exercises, you can go ahead and exit out. That's not what I'm talking about today. I want to talk to you about some things that are coming so we can be prepared as voice professionals and as singers, okay? So first of all, this article is taken from 2022, and he talks about, I want to go to the weaknesses. Now, let me also preface this. I'm not tearing down these university programs at all. But what I'm doing is sounding the alarm, again, letting y'all know what's coming so you're not caught off guard, okay? And then I want to offer some solutions as I always do, okay? Welcome on YouTube. So, under weaknesses, okay, and weaknesses are internal things that the university programs can control to a degree, but they're not doing great at currently. And so one thing that he mentions in the article under weaknesses is stylistic boundaries, or first of all, it's musical boundaries and singer training, okay? And he says stylistic boundaries in singing continue to shift toward diversification. Professional opera companies are programming musical theater repertoire more and more frequently in response to current economic pressures, okay? So let me give y'all a little translation. What he's saying is that these opera houses are programming musical theater and contemporary style stuff because they need to get butts in seats. They're losing money because people are not paying to hear opera like they used to. That's what that's saying, okay? So it says, yet, NASM guidelines. Now, NASM is the National Association of Schools of Music, I believe. It's the organizational body that determines the curriculum and the curricula for university voice performance programs, okay? So that's what NASM is. So NASM guidelines suggest that schools emphasize either classical or musical theater. No mention is made of cross-training both styles in a single degree. So do y'all see right there, we got a little, it's not aligned. You got NASM that's making the curriculum, but then you got the real world industry that's blending the styles. And so right there, it's setting the students up to not be successful after school. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? So, the NASM handbook suggests that vocal performance majors should experience a broad range of repertoire through attendance at events such as recitals, concerts, operas, and musical theater productions. But it goes without saying that merely attending an event will not help students cultivate performance skills. Okay, and this is absolutely true. So NASM, they don't talk about cross-training. They're saying you either got to be classical or you got to be musical theater, but all students should go and attend different concerts and listen to different styles. No, you cannot learn how to sing multiple styles correctly by just sitting there and listening and observing. As a classical singer, when you go to try to sing this commercial style music, this music is going to feel different in your throat. It is going to feel different in your body, Okay, the style traits are different, and so you have to get in there and really retrain your vocal cords. You have to, your breath setup is different. There are physical things that you have to do to get a modern sound that you don't learn in classical, that you can't just absorb by going to live concerts. Okay, so that's what he's saying there. Now, that's one of the internal weaknesses, all right? So you got this discrepancy of the curriculum and what's happening in the real world, all right? So the next thing that he brings up, he talks about the threats, okay? And so the threats are external negative factors that the voice community cannot control, okay? Now, the what I just mentioned, the universities can control that to a degree, and what that would look like is they break away from NASM, they break away from the accrediting body that sets the curriculum, that is out of touch with what's happening in the real world. But a lot of the universities are not going to do that because they value accreditation instead of letting the accreditation come from the students who are succeeding in the real world and using those testimonials as to how well that school is preparing their students. I'm not going to get too deep into that, okay? But again, I'm sharing the things from this article, and I want to give you insight so that you can know, if you guys are in university, if you're currently training, you need to know these things, okay? Because what I don't want is for you to graduate and then there's this big gap between graduation and university. It happens all the time. It happened to me as well. Okay, there were no jobs lined up like I thought there would be after I graduated and checked off all the boxes and things at my university. There was nothing lined up for me, but all I knew how to do was sing classical. I didn't have skills to sing this contemporary music, so I couldn't audition for stuff that was asking for contemporary styles because I didn't have the tools, and neither did I have the confidence. So I was just left stuck, like, what in the world do I do with this degree? That's why I'm talking about this today. Okay, because I want to help you guys if you have an ear to hear. Okay, and so threats, these are negative factors that the voice community cannot control. So for collegiate programs to thrive, these difficult issues must be addressed. So one of the threats that he mentions is the decline in music student enrollment in particular. Okay, this is a threat. So the article says, when music student enrollment trends are examined, there is immediate cause for concern. According to the NASM Higher Education Arts Data Services data survey, between the year 2009 and 2019, choral music education and voice performance student enrollment has declined 25 and 33% respectively. And he also says this decline occurred during a period of general stability or growth in higher education. So what it's saying, during a time where there was growth and stability in college enrollments, these schools of music and the choral departments were still declining. Okay, that's what he's saying. And so he said, he goes on to say, or the article goes on to say, if voice enrollments follow the plotted linear lines, by 2029, we could see choral music education enrollments decline by an additional 37%. And voice performance enrollments decline an additional 57%, which is to say from 2009 to 2029, total voice program enrollments could decline by as much as 45%. That's almost a 50% decline. Y'all better wake up and get you some commercial style vocal training. And you voice teachers, y'all better wake up and get you some commercial style vocal pedagogy so you can teach these singers how to sing more than classical music. Because the signs are here. These programs are declining. Students are losing interest. And not that they're losing interest in singing, because interest in singing is still very high, honey. Human beings, we want to sing. People love to sing. But what people are losing interest in is going through a university voice program to get trained in singing. And I believe a large portion of that disinterest is coming because they only train you, most universities, the majority, they only train you how to sing classical music, which is an industry and a sound aesthetic that is dying. It is not that popular among the masses. There is a pocket of people that enjoy that music, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the masses are not interested in hearing classical music. But when you go to a university, that's what they're equipping you with. So there, again, there's a huge disconnect between what the masses want and what the universities are prepping you for. Okay. And that's what leaves you in this gap after you graduate, because you don't know how to sing the stuff that the masses are wanting. Okay. So I feel like I've said enough. So in summary, and then I'm going to offer you some solutions or some ideas for how to move forward. So in summary, let me know if this makes sense. Replay watchers, let me know y'all's thoughts, okay, on this. So in summary, he says, as we face the greatest depicted decline in higher education enrollment in 60 years, programs need to be adaptive, expand their educational offerings, and attract new learners. If we engage in culturally responsive pedagogy, some who never imagined themselves attending college may find their sense of belonging. So I met Edwards. I bless him and his wife. I love the work that they're doing, you know, ending on a positive look. Like, there is hope for universities. Like I said, I'm not on here trying to tear them down. There is hope for universities, but they are going to have to get an adaptive, innovative mindset, okay? Otherwise, it's done. You know, you cannot go in that same traditional way. They're going to have to see differently. They're going to have to expand out. They're going to have to get connections with people that are in the industry so that they can teach the trends and the knowledge and the things that the industry is requiring, so that the students have a greater chance for success after university. Okay? So it's all about being adaptive. So I want to leave you with 4 steps. If you are a university trained singer, if you're working on your bachelor's or master's or doctorate, if you've already graduated and you're stuck in that uncertain middle, you don't really know how to monetize your degree, how to use it really, you know, to get the optimum out of it. I'm not saying you can't, you know, be what am I trying to say? Music education or something like that. Like, that is a way to do that, but you want more. You want to optimize that degree more, right? Here are some steps that you're going to need when you're transitioning out of college and wanting to know what your next steps are. The first thing you're going to have to do is recondition your mind, singers. Okay? You're going to have to recondition your mind. And what I mean is, when you go through a university system learning classical music, there is a certain mindset and attitude that comes along with that. It can be a little stuffy. It can be a little, you know, highfalutin a little bit. You know, you see singing as this, you know, oh, this head voice and all of this. Okay. You're going to have to come out of that. You're going to have to see singing as a natural extension of your spoken voice, and you're going to have to learn how to reconnect to your speech level singing, okay? So that's the first thing. You're going to have to retrain your mind a little bit. The second thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to work to reset your oral perceptions, okay? You're going to have to work to reset your oral perceptions. What I mean is, coming through university, a lot of times certain sounds that we hear in commercial style music, in musical theater, even any, you know, pop rock and R&B, country, many times these sounds, our teachers in academia shun those sounds, and they tell us that these sounds are not healthy and that they're not good sounds. You're going to have to retrain your brain and retrain your oral perceptions so that you can now come out of the good sound versus bad sound realm and judge sounds based on if they're sustainable or if they're not sustainable. Okay? Just because somebody is doing a rock scream does not mean they're tearing their voice up. There is a sustainable way to do a rock scream. There is a sustainable way to belt, right? So our music teachers in university make us think belting is yelling, is harmful. So you hear somebody belt and it's like, ooh, that's, it's too much. Or you may even like the sound because it's powerful, but in your mind, you feel like you can never do it because you're afraid you're going to destroy your instrument, okay? That's what I'm saying. We got to retrain those oral perceptions. You got to hear that belting not as harmful, okay? Because it's not. There's a way to sustainably belt. And it's going to be up to you to retrain that, okay? So that's the second thing. The third thing, singer and voice teacher, that you're going to need to do, you are going to need to humble yourself and go back to learning to sing like a beginner. I've had to do it. The singers that I walk through my programs have to do it as well. So if you are full of pride and you think your voice is already the bomb and you already know this stuff, if I'm not going back to beginner, then this is not going to be for you. You're not going to be able to partake of this. Because when you go back to learning how to sing speech level, that is very different from your classical vocal production. It's very different, and it's going to feel different in your body. Your body is going to tell you that you're doing something wrong because you have been so far removed from making these basic, primal, childlike, easy, pre-programmed human sounds. You don't make those in classical because you bring head voice down and everything. When you're singing contemporary music, you have to have chest voice. You got to reconnect to your speech level, okay? You have to have chest voice and you got to have mix, okay? So you're going to have to humble yourself and come back to learning voice like you're a little bitty baby beginner, but it's all good, okay? Because if your technique is set up, if you have a classical technique, it doesn't have to take that long for you to learn the commercial styles. Now, I'm not saying if you can sing classical, you can sing anything. Don't hear me. I'm not saying that because there are some different trainings and things you have to do to the vocal cords, with the breath, with the mouth, vocal tract shape. There are some changes. But if you foundationally have a solid technique, there are little tweaks and adjustments that you can do to get a more modern sound, and it doesn't take that long, okay? But you have to humble yourself. And then the final thing that you want to find a commercial music coach who can teach you technique and style. And I'm talking about commercial technique and style, okay? That's going to be important. And furthermore, you want to find a commercial coach, not somebody else in academia, unless they are a crossover teacher, which we're very rare. You're not going to find too many teachers that are well versed in classical music and they also have the commercial knowledge too. I'm one of them, but we are rare, okay? Now, if you can find somebody in a university that can do that, go to them. But otherwise, don't go back to another classical voice teacher because they're not going to be able to help you with this commercial style that you want. So you have to find a commercial style vocal coach and mentor, preferably somebody that is connected in the music industry so that you're learning the most up-to-date sounds and trends. Okay, because again, we don't want to be irrelevant. We don't want to be outdated in what we're teaching and what we're doing vocally. Okay, so find you somebody that is connected with people in music directors, agents that have connections. What personal connections, can call them on the phone and ask a question, or they're working with artists that are professional level, they're performing, they're signed to labels. Get you a mentor and a vocal coach like that can teach you the commercial style and the commercial technique, okay? That's going to help you accelerate. And again, it's going to make sure that you're not just learning this stuff in theory without the knowledge of what's happening in the industry. Because if you do that, you're going to end right up same thing like NASM, right? The governing body that's making the curriculum that's out of touch with what's going on with the world, you're going to be the same way. So don't do that. Get you a coach that's connected in the industry and that can help you, okay? So that's it. Y'all, thank you for y'all who stayed with me. Replay watchers, thank you. I would love to hear your questions, your thoughts. But I was reading through this article and I was just compelled to come on live and share some of this, okay? Because I want us to be ready. I don't want classical singers to be left out on the sidelines, feeling irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Feeling like we don't really know where we fit, like we don't know where our place is. Like, no, there is a place for us. There's a place for us in commercial style singing, absolutely. But we have to be adaptive, we have to be humble, and you got to find a coach that's got the goods that can equip you, okay? So what I'll say before I hop off, I offer a Basics of Mix and Belt 4-week live course for classically trained singers and voice teachers, as well as commercial style singers, okay? It starts January the 11th. I'm going to teach you the basics of mixing and belting, because when you come out of university, all you know how to do is classical, and you can't take classical into R&B. You can't take a classical sound into singing pop. You're going to sound ridiculous. You have to learn how to get a modern, edgy sound, and the first steps to doing that is learning how to mix and learning how to belt sustainably. And that's where you start. And that's why I'm offering this course. So if you're interested in that, if you're wanting to learn how to cross over, I'm not saying you have to abandon your classical singing. If you love that, stick with it. Okay, please do. But if you want to expand out and learn how to sing more pop style stuff, I got you. Okay, so I want you to DM me Mix on Instagram, or you can click the link. I'll drop it in the description and send in an application. We start January the 11th. The last day to register is January 9th. Okay, so just hit me up if you have more questions. I'm not going to spend more time. I've been on here 20 minutes, but thank you for you guys who joined me live, and I'll be back next week. Take care and Happy New Year. See ya. Bye-bye.